In the previous video, we were thinking about Jesus' words to the man he had healed from advanced leprosy. Luke chapter 5. Jesus didn't say, "I heal you," or anything with that sentence construction. He said rather, "Be thou clean." And you'll remember that these words seem to me to be instructive. Jesus saying, in effect, I have healed you. I've done what you couldn't do for yourself. Now I want you to be clean, to be whole, to be well. That is something only you can do. I can't do it for you. I've opened the way for you, given you a new life. The old has gone, the new has come. Now walk in it. Be thou clean. Now, I imagine that those words rang in the man's ears for many years after, as he was living up to the invitation to dare to be a new man. Old habits were redundant. No more hiding from the sun and from human society. No more listening to the synagogue prayers from outside. No more eating alone. New habits would have developed. The locals would have noticed the new expression on his face, that he was a great listener and that he took interest in everything around him. He would have laughed often, and his tears would have been for other people. The children would have loved him. It was a new life given to him in a split second of meeting with Jesus, but it was one that he had to train himself to put on every morning. Be thou clean today. Every morning it was as though he was saved, and he never tired of his new life. He was a walking miracle who enhanced the reputation of Jesus and of God with everyone who met him. The man who had been leprous went from glory to glory. That's how it should be with all of us. Saved by a miracle, living by a miracle, carefree, knowing that God has got everything in hand. God knew exactly what he was taking on when he chose us. Now, we used to sing a song, and it could have been sung by the healed leper. My life is really blessed because I know the love of God, and I can feel so free to live and move within that love. No more uncertainty, living in victory, secure in knowing that Jesus has got everything in hand. Born through a miracle and living by a miracle. But so often that isn't the case. So many begin with high hopes and abounding joy. Everything looked fresh and new. The future beckoned them on. They were going to do great things for God. They just knew it. But the music in their hearts gradually faded, diminished, and finally almost disappeared. They decided that the early exuberance had just been spring's youth. Nothing more. A gang of ugly facts, as they say, had kidnapped their joy. Here's a little story that illustrates this all too common phenomenon, a phenomenon that is not God's will at all. This story is a parable. Its meaning is spiritual. It's not speaking about physical illness. Let me get that clear to begin with. I wouldn't want anyone to think that it's somehow wrong or sinful to be unwell. It might not be desirable, but it happens. And we have to keep our eyes on him during those difficult times. But this story is a parable of the Spirit. It's a parable on the new heart and the new spirit that God has placed within us. It's called A Replacement by a man named Alan Haldon. The brilliant floodlights brought the inert body on the operating table into sharp focus. Sir Joshua Christie, JC to his friends and students, the consultant in charge, seemed confident and relaxed at this critical moment in this most dramatic of operations. The diseased heart had been removed and the body awaited the new organ. JC was the most successful of surgeons in this field, rejection being almost unknown among his patients. This man he knew well. He had known him from before his birth. The heart problem had been congenital, probably inherited from his father and preceding generations. It was some 2 years later, so the operation is done and it's successful. But it was some 2 years later that JC, holidaying in his favourite Yorkshire moors and realising the proximity of the Forsyth house, that was the name of the man he was operating on, Forsyth, called in to renew an old friendship. "Don't tire him," called Adam's wife as the surgeon climbed the stairs, slightly puzzled at the inference that something was wrong. His ex-patient was sitting in the easy chair beside the bed. He looked pale and uneasy. The bedside table was littered with a variety of pills and medicines. Pinned to the bedhead was a programme for the day, indicating rest times, forbidden activities, medication and a diet sheet. "What's all this?" he exclaimed, taking Adam's wrist to feel his pulse. "Well, as you know, I've had heart trouble," was the reply. "Fortunately, my wife was a nurse and is very capable at looking after an invalid. She had this specialist volume on heart disease." Disastrous. "And I'm in safe hands." JC was probing, prodding, listening. He asked questions, and as he heard the answers, he felt his anger rising at the sight of the wasted life before him. "My bad heart," finished Adam in his final reply. "You have no bad heart." The words were incised, crypt, deliberate. "It has been replaced with a new one. The old one has gone utterly." He swept the medication off the table and tore up the pinned lists in an icy fury. "A new one, a sound one, replaced," he reiterated. "There is nothing wrong with you. You are all right, whole, complete, healthy. Now, in God's name, go out and live." Adam stared at him unbelievingly, but he heard. He stood up. Out of the house they went, and into the sunlight, into the fresh, clean wind, up and over the moor, breasting the ridge, out into a new day. Here's another song that we used to sing. We are moving on into a deep appreciation of the love which flows from Father out to every child of God, of the grace with which He handles every minute situation, how He wants the best for everyone who gives to Him His all. Grace, it seems, is all He has, and one big open heart, and it's so good being loved by you, my Lord.